Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we are going to discuss this small talk on the essence of Bhagavad-Gita. Or in other words, I'll just tell you about what is Bhagavad-Gita, entire Bhagavad-Gita in just some few minutes. Try to summarize it for you. Because Bhagavad-Gita is a difficult book, but only when you don't understand it. When you start understanding it, it is as easy as ABCD, because it is applicable to your life. So, Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters and 700 verses. We all know that. You know this, no? 18 chapters, isn't it? Everybody knows that? Everybody's aware with this, like, new, I don't know, like, who is new, who is old. So I can't guess. Who is us new here, like? Nobody? Everybody comes. Okay, fine. I have to decide what level I have to speak. Okay, so we have 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic scriptures. Now, if you read Vedic scriptures, they're complex. So not only in philosophy but also in language. So, and of course, to understand Vedic Sanskrit, you need minimum 12 years. You can't even read that Sanskrit for yourself. So Krishna summarized entire Vedas. Like, for example, Rig Veda has around 1 million verses. 1 crore verses. 1 crore, I don't know how much that's in million. So I think around 1 million verses. And then there is Yajur Veda, Third Veda, Sam Veda, Upanishads, Puranas, Pancharatra. There's so many texts with us. Krishna summarized everything in this 700 verses, that's all. So what is this Bhagavad Gita all about? What is the message of Bhagavad Gita? That's the question. So first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is... Focus on me when I say. Okay, can you see this? Can everybody see that? Okay. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is... So what's the name of that? First chapter? Yeah. Observing the armies at the battlefield, isn't it? So first chapter is very important in Bhagavad Gita because it sets the scene. It is a preamble, and that's one of the most important. If you don't understand first chapter, you don't understand anything about Bhagavad Gita, what's happening. Now first chapter is, the name of first chapter is Observing the Armies. If you read the name. Now what's happening is, Arjuna has his own observation and perception of the life. Now Arjuna is standing on battlefield and he is observing the battlefield from his observation. And he is coming to this conclusion by his own observation, I don't want to fight. Because there are his brothers and sisters there as opponents and he don't want to fight with them. And he gives many valid reasons for that. And then Krishna says, you're fool. Krishna has his own observation of the same scene. And Krishna, by his observation or perception, he comes to a conclusion, you should fight. You see the point? It's the same scene, same battlefield, but there are two people, one Krishna and one Arjuna, both are coming to very different conclusion. Arjuna is saying, I'll not fight. Krishna is saying, you should fight. Arjuna is saying, if I don't fight, like, I'm feeling distressed. Krishna says, yeah, that's the point. If you fight, you will be happy. So here is a problem. First chapter sets the problem of life. A problem is we want to observe this life by our own eyes, by our own perception, and that is a problem. our perception is imperfect. You see, our own observations are imperfect. If we try to judge life, whatever is happening in our life, by our own perception, by our own observation, we will definitely come to wrong conclusion, because our perception is imperfect and limited by time and space. So it's like for example, the same object can be different for different people. Just like a female. If a child sees a female, he will perceive the female as mother. If an adult sees a female, a young boy, he will perceive female as maybe girlfriend or lust, something. If the female's mother, father perceive her, they will perceive her as a child. And if a lion sees her, she's food, that's all. Nothing more than that. She's a food for him. Same object, but different observations, and different observations, different conclusions. So whose observation is correct? Child, father, or the young boy, or the lion? Whose observation is right? What do you say? All of them or none of them? Yeah, none of them. Because when Krishna sees that female, for him, what is that female? For him, that is a soul bonded in a material body. A soul entrapped in a body of flesh and bones and meat. That's all. That's how he sees. It's a very different observation. When Lord Ram, he was going in the forest with Lakshman. He saw some trees, like in autumn, leaves fall down. So he saw some trees and leaves have fallen there on the floor. And he said to Lakshman, you see these? Well, for us it's nothing interesting, Leaves are fallen, that's all. But Ram said, you see, these leaves are fallen, they're dry up. Similarly, when we disconnect ourselves from God, we dry up and we fall down. That's how he's perceiving the entire situation as. So it is very important. Whole Bhagavad-Gita is all about changing your perception, changing your observation. What's this? Okay. So changing your observation, that's what is Bhagavad-Gita all about. Everything is same. Material, you see, for a devotee, it's the same material word. It's same everything. His body is same, everything is same. But he's perceiving the same word. A non-devotee, a person who is not connected with God, he's perceiving the same word. He's unhappy, frustrated, messed up in his consciousness, full of anxiety, and we are happy. How is that? Everything is same. We eat the same food, he eats the same food. We sleep, he sleeps. We talk, he talks. We walk, he walks. We have same problems. The material world, there are problems, and he also has problems, but one is happy, one is not happy. Why? Because of perception. That's all. It's all perception. You have to learn how to observe this world from the eyes of God and not from your own eyes. That is Bhagavad-Gita all about. That is it. The first chapter begins with the problem, I am perceiving word with my own eyes, and it ends with the chapter and convinces you that you should perceive this word by the eyes of God, and then you will be happy. But to come to that conclusion, you need the whole Bhagavad Gita. Why should I perceive from the eyes of God? Why should perceiving this word from the eyes of God will make me happy? That's the point. These are the questions. Who is God? Why at all I should know God in the first place? You see, so many questions are there. So to bring to that point, Krishna develops a theme and he speaks Bhagavad Gita. Is it clear to all of you? Is it clear? Yeah, yes or no? Yes. Yeah, you should speak yes, yeah. It's good, because otherwise I'll not know what's happening. Okay, so now Krishna begins Bhagavad Gita. And he starts his... No, yeah, go a second. So the name of the second chapter is, what's the name of the second chapter? Contents of Gita summarized. So now Krishna's project or mission is to convince Arjuna or all of us that we should lead a life not by our own ideas. Perception means your own ideas, but through the ideas of God. So if you want to put it in a very simple word, you should not see this world by your own eyes, but by the eyes and the knowledge of God. You should have knowledge of God in your eyes and then see. So that's the whole idea. But how does Krishna begin talking to Arjuna? He wants to convince him. In the process, he wants to convince all of us. So what's happening? Okay. Thank you.
Keshav Anand Prabhu ki.
Okay. So second chapter is contents of Gita summarized. Now Krishna begins Gita. Because the Gita actually begins from second chapter. If somebody asks you, what is the first verse of Gita? What's that? What's that? What's the first verse? Everybody? Sure? Everybody sure of that? What is Krashto? What's that? Okay, yeah. If anybody says what's the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, you have to ask him a question, which definition you want. So officially, Bhagavad Gita begins with this first chapter, first verse. Dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre, 𝗂𝗪 We know all this. But actually Gita doesn't begin from this point because Krishna doesn't speak this. This is spoken by Dhritarashtra. Dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre. So Gita actually begins with second chapter, 11th verse, where Krishna starts speaking his knowledge. So anybody asks you from where Gita begins, the second chapter, 11th verse, not first chapter, first verse. You don't begin from there. So that is a very official answer where Gita begins is first chapter, first verse. But a very literal answer where Gita begins is second chapter, 11th verse. And what is that verse? Anybody knows? It's simple. Ashochayanam vashochastvam pragyavadam sabhashase gatasum agatasum shak nanu shochanti panditaha. Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, only fools, they think about death and life. People who are dead, this is life, they are dead, in these terms. But people who are intelligent, they know that in life and death, soul is eternal. Ultimately. Death is also an illusion as much as birth is. Because for soul there is neither birth, neither death. Isn't it? We can leave body, but our soul doesn't die. Consciousness is consciousness. So that is a very literal answer where Gita begins. But actually, if somebody asks you from where Gita begins, if you say second 11, that's not a real answer. There is a meaningful answer also where Gita begins. Gita begins actually from third chapter, first verse. Because second chapter, Krishna is summarizing his knowledge. That's the name, content of Gita summarized. Third chapter, actually action begins. He really begins his knowledge. So where Gita begins, you have three answers. Official answer, literal answer, meaningful answer. And that's how Gita is very complex. Okay. So what happens? Second chapter, Gita, Krishna summarizes his talk. He says, in second chapter he speaks about everything. But he focuses on the knowledge of soul and body. You know why he speaks about, he first tells Arjuna, you are not this body, you are soul. You know why? Because in the first chapter, what is happening is, Arjuna is observing the battlefield by his own eyes. He says, I don't want to fight. He says, I don't want to fight because there are my friends and relatives there, and if they die, I'll be so unhappy. He's totally miserable. He has kept his bow down. But now, what happens is, you know what? If a person is in grief, you should not instruct him. You know this? There's a rule. There's a rule in scriptures. You should not instruct if a person is in grief. Because if you do that, he'll not understand what you're saying, isn't it? You're so sorrow, you're so miserable, and you will think, what's happening? You can't hear anything. So Krishna first want to take him out of sorrow and miseries, and for that you need knowledge of soul and body. He says, well, you're thinking about your relatives will die and that, but nobody's going to die, don't worry about that. Everybody's eternal. You do your duty, fine, and we'll see afterwards. So by knowledge of soul, 50% of your miseries are finished. Simply because we think we are this body, we keep on suffering, We have fear. As soon as we think we are this body, immediately fear will come. 𝗢𝘂𝗿 𝗪𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. That's the verse there. It is said in scriptures, one of the very famous poet, Bhartrihari, he asks a question to all of us. He says, who is not in fear? A young man fears old age, an old man fears death. A beautiful man or girl, they fear becoming ugly. An ugly man fears exploitation or condensation. A rich man fears loss of wealth. A poor man fears rich people will condemn them. A king fears revolt. And the subject of the king, they fear taxes. A scholar fears debates. And an illiterate man, he fears condemnation, defaming. A famous man fears defaming. And a person who is not famous, he fears whether he'll attain fame or not. Who is not fearful? He says everybody is fearful. A child fears insecurity. Relationships can be broken in future. Breakage of relationships. Who is not in fear? Everybody is in fear. And he comes to conclusion, there is just one person who is not in fear, who understands he is not this body, he is soul. Because all this fear, if you analyze, that is coming from the fact that we think we are this body. That's all. That's all, finish. So Krishna first gives the knowledge of soul and body, which is actually the base of everything. And pretty much then he summarizes Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and all this kind of thing. But don't worry about that. So before giving a talk, you summarize, isn't it? That's a system. So if you have written research papers, anybody written? So first you have to write abstract. You know this, no? Research paper, you have to write an abstract. You have to write, okay, what exactly you're going to say, a summary of the thing, research paper, and then research paper start. Krishna gives a summary. And now he really starts his Gita from 3rd chapter. Okay. Oh, what happened? Where is this? It went behind her, the yellow bird. I just highlighted it and it became like that. It's funny, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Go to the next slide. It's missing or? Oh no, just go behind 3rd chapter. Yeah, I'll give you again. It's bad. I have to change it. Okay, no problem. It's a quiz for you. I'll ask you. Let's do it like that. So what is 3rd chapter? 3rd chapter is Karma Yoga. So Krishna says spirituality begins, karma means action, yoga means joining. So Krishna says, if you want to understand your soul and not this body. Now we just hear about this, isn't it? We have just heard it now. We are soul and not this body. But we don't realize it. We don't realize it. Isn't it? We are just theoretical knowledge. But we don't exactly realize that we are not this. When we see ourselves in mirror, we don't think that this is a machine in which I am sitting. We don't generally think by reflex. We think this is me. Simple. So to get that realization that you are soul and not this body, you have to do something. And you begin with karma yoga. You begin with action. So spirituality is action. That's the idea. Krishna consciousness, devotion or realization of any path, any true spirituality begins with action. You have to act. It doesn't begin with meditation. That's wrong. Krishna says, no, don't sit and close your eyes. It will not help you. You'll simply sleep. I have done all these things. I have done so much meditation and this, and mostly you just sleep. And then you get up and you feel so good. Of course you'll feel good because you slept. It happens with all of you. I've seen so many. Like in India, you go to yogis and all these, they're sitting and sleeping. Better sleep properly, that's all. So what happens is, spirituality is not about meditation, it's a wrong propaganda. And so we have a role of meditation, but the kind of meditation which people teach, that's wrong. So generally people say close your eyes and make your mind empty. That's a very popular thing, isn't it? Isn't it? Make your thoughts empty. Close, make your thoughts empty. But that's a nonsense proposal, because that's not possible. Because if your mind is empty, and if you ask him, is your mind empty? Yes, my mind is empty. And his mind is not empty because he has a thought. He has a thought that my mind is empty. So, and if your mind really becomes empty, you can't come back from meditation. You're dead. You can't come back because there's no thought. There's not even a thought of coming back. So you're gone forever. That's spiritual suicide. Prabhupada uses that term. Spiritual suicide. So that's a wrong proposal. They're fooling you. Make your mind. I know. Spirituality begins with action, by thinking about truth, not making your mind empty and become crazy. Think about truth. Think, act for God. So there it is. So what is that yellow thing? What should be there? Just fill it up. Yeah. Work or action. Action, that behind that yellow thing is action. It's a quiz. Action should be done conducive to realize the soul. These actions are for God, it is, and are called as service. So karma yog means joining, karma means action. When you join your actions with God, and you do actions with God, for God, you don't do actions for yourself, for your selfish purpose. That is called as service. So devotion begins with service. And we all understand that. And Krishna is now making a theme. Prabhupada always says, act for God. Prabhupada says, do the needful. Prabhupada says, when you're young, do something. Do something for God. So for that, you should know what you have to do, isn't it? You have to have knowledge. You have to have some knowledge. But that will come later. But the idea is Krishna is trying to urge Arjuna, yes, or all of us, do something. Plan something. Think something what you can do. So that is called as service. So the idea is, chapter 3, Krishna is saying, don't just keep on acting for your body, for your survival. Survival is not the aim of life. That is for Darwin or evolutionists, but not for devotees. That's not the purpose of life, survival. Survival anyway, you'll survive somehow or the other. Everybody survives. Even a madman survives, isn't it? You see in India, here you have mad people like roaming in the street. In India, in India you have, There are some people go crazy, and they're just roaming in the street. You have here? You have here like that? Or they take it in prison or... Huh?
We have election on Sunday.
Here they lock them up.
Lock them up. In India, like they're just in the streets, they are just mad, Nobody cares for them. They're just roaming, without food, without clothes. They're mad. They just roam like that. But they're alive. They somehow get food. God arranges for them. And they're alive. They just sit whole day on the road and just see what's happening and check it out. That's all. It goes like that. So, don't worry about survival. Survival of the fittest. That's what we are taught. Be fit and then you can survive. No. That's not, that is for animals, not for humans. For humans, there's much more than survival. And that's this point. Do not act just for body. Act for soul. Try to understand your soul. And try to understand your soul, you have to start serving God. To understand your soul and not this body, you have to connect yourself with God. And it's very easy to understand. You see, okay, fine, okay. I'll give you example now. Okay, close your eyes. What do you see? Quick. What do you see? Darkness. Isn't it, all of you? It's dark. It is dark inside. And that's what we are. We are all in darkness. That's what we say, isn't it? And there's a proof. There's a proof for you. When a self-realized soul, he closes the eyes. He doesn't see darkness. He sees himself. I am who I am. You will see your true self when he will close your eyes. When you become self-realized, you will close your eyes and you will see who are you, your real identity. But now everything is dark. So how to see that? How to come to that platform? For that you have to connect yourself with God. Just like if you close all this light, it will be dark in this room. If you want to see something in this room, you have to take help of light, isn't it? Even though your eyes are perfect, everything is good, without light you can't see. Similarly, to see in darkness your own soul, your own true self, you need help of light, the light of God. You need the help of God. And that is why Krishna says, you start connecting yourself with God now, first. And the first thing you can do to connect yourself to God is serve Him. In other words, act for Him. Don't spend your time acting for your body. Don't waste your time on your body. Don't just keep on decorating your body for 2 hours. You know what? In India, we used to have beauty parlors for females, like 10 years back. But now you have beauty parlors even for males. Here you have for males. It's normal, but India it's not like that. For males you have beauty parlors. They are going and 3 hours they are just sitting for hairs. What's that? It's not a good idea. You spend 3 hours for your hairs, which are in fact dead. Hairs are stool of body. You know this? Hairs are the excreta of your body. They are the dead cells which your body is trying to excrete. That's hairs. And people are spending 3 hours on this excreta. It's like that. Excreta? Yeah, stool. There's nails and hairs. It's useless. And that is the society all about. It's insane actually. This is very superficial life. Nothing deep, very superficial, just spending your time in hairs, body. It's like it'll never be satisfying. It's never going to happen like that. You have to go deep. You have to become wise. So Krishna says, okay, chant, do some service. Okay, that's the 3rd chapter. Now the idea is, when you start acting for God and do some service for Him, you need to know what to do, isn't it? Okay, now I have to connect. I have to act for God. So what to do? That's the 4th chapter. The name of 4th chapter is, what's the name? Transcendental knowledge. So you need knowledge for that. A detailed knowledge of soul is described to mature and intensify the service attitude. 4th chapter, Krishna gives knowledge of soul and God, and he tells also in 4th chapter what you can do for God. Knowledge of these 3 things. What is soul, what is God, and what you can do for Him. That's what we wanted to know, isn't it? We wanted to know what we can do for Him, because 3rd chapter says you act for Him. So that is transcendental knowledge. So 3rd chapter is action, 4th chapter is knowledge. But the problem is, some people when they start taking knowledge, they forget to act. They're just absorbed in knowledge. Sitting, reading. Some people who start acting for God, they forget to take knowledge. So some people are there, some people are there. Krishna says, don't do like that. 5th chapter, Krishna goes. So what's the name of 5th chapter? What's the name of 5th chapter? Karma Yoga in Krishna Consciousness. Krishna says, in 5th chapter, don't just take knowledge, don't just act. Act with knowledge. Combine both. Action in Krishna consciousness. You should act with proper consciousness. That's the idea. So, the idea is action with knowledge. That's 5th chapter. Fuse both. Fuse both, because knowledge will help to nurture your actions. Knowledge will help to give enthusiasm to your actions, isn't it? Because you know why you're doing that. And action will in turn change knowledge into realization. If you act with the proper knowledge, you get realization. And that's what 5th chapter is all about. Or in other words, let me put it simple. 3rd chapter is laboratory, lab. 4th chapter is your theoretical class. So in school you have like that, no? In school you have a class and then you have labs. You know this, no? So if you simply attend classes and if you don't go to lab, do you learn something? In chemistry? Chemistry you start reading something, but you go to lab. You learn something? Nothing. You have to go to lab also, because you have to apply that knowledge, what you have learned in the class, in your laboratory. You have to act in the laboratory. So, third, this material world is like a big lab. You see how our observation is changing? I told you, I started with this point. We are observing the life by our own eyes without knowledge of God. So we think, oh, material world, this place, okay, this place is this material world. I'm in Ljubljana, and I have to get to the top. That's it. I have to be the best. And these are my competitors, these are my friends, and that's how we think. But the devotee doesn't think like that. A person who has knowledge of God, he thinks this whole world, Ljubljana, is a big laboratory for you. You are here to learn something. Everything around you is teaching you something, provided you have the eyes to learn it, to decode it. And fourth chapter is this class, theoretical class. So what you learn here, you go out and apply it. And then you start learning things. For example, in this class, Krishna says, okay, be tolerant. Okay, be tolerant. You understand? Do you understand that? Can you be tolerant just by attending classes? Can you learn that? Impossible. I can just keep on saying be tolerant, be tolerant. You can say yes, be tolerant. You can also pass the exams, but you will never learn what is tolerance. Because for being tolerant, you have to go out and meet people who are intolerant and then face them and then be tolerant in those conditions. When they speak something, you should not retaliate. So this material world will teach you how to be tolerant. You get knowledge from here, go out, apply there, and then, for example, in this class, like Krishna says in Gita. Now you learn in this Gita. Okay, now you should not. So when you see something bad or wrong, you should not be affected by it. For example, there are so many advertisements and they're like funny advertisements, females and this and that. So Krishna says, no, don't see them, don't be affected. Now you go out, there's so many advertisements, so now what do you have to do? You don't see it. Don't just see it, avoid seeing. Otherwise your mind will become contaminated. So that's a practice there. You learn here, you practice there. You learn here, you practice there. Krishna says, don't waste time. So in class, okay, you hear this, but then you have to go out and then apply that. Because outside, when you go outside this room, there will be so many opportunities for you to waste time. In fact, every moment will pull you down. So many distractions. When you go out and then you remember, oh, Krishna says don't waste time, so I will not choose wrong thing, isn't it? So whole world is like a lab, and that's what is third chapter. And fourth chapter is knowledge. And fifth chapter is Krishna is saying, combine both, knowledge and action. What you learn in this class, apply there. Lead your life like that. Believe, do application. That's very important. Application. Just knowledge is not sufficient. Just action is not sufficient. Fifth chapter is all about application. So can you fill in the blanks here? In other words, perform dash with the dash of soul. What's that? Simple now. Come on. Yeah, action. I'm using the word action. Perform action with the knowledge. Yeah. That's 5th chapter. That's all. Okay, but the question is, when you try to do this in outside, your mind will get distracted. Isn't it? Your mind will get distracted. So Krishna says in 6th chapter, Narayan, you need to see me. Krishna says in 6th chapter, so what's the name of 6th chapter? Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga means be attentive. Dhyan means what? Dhyan means attentive. Dhyan Yoga, now you have to be attentive when you are serving God, when you are applying this knowledge, because many things will distract you and pull you from the path. And to be attentive on the path of spirituality, there are 2 processes. One is Ashtanga Yoga, one is Asana, Pranayam, this, that. Another is by the power of devotion. If you're sincere, you can be attentive. You have the power to be attentive. You have the power to protect yourself from temptations and distractions. So Krishna says, yeah, there is a yoga process. By that you can be attentive, by fixing your mind on a point and practicing all these things, asana, pranayam. That's okay, but that process is difficult. You practice devotion. You serve me. By service, you get more service. By serving me sincerely, by my grace, you will get attention in service. I will give you, don't worry. You don't have to do anything else to be attentive. Just keep on serving me with knowledge, and I will give you attention. That's my gift to you. That's 6th chapter. So what's this here? Fill in the blank. Be dashed to serve by associating with spiritual people. Come on, I just told you. Yeah, be attentive to service by associating with spiritual people. You have to be attentive. Whatever you do with attention. Otherwise you will you will slip. And that attention will come by devotion. And the most important in devotion is association of devotees. So you will be attentive only when you will keep on associating with devotees. Once you leave association, your attention will start distracting. Like Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, he was super elevated devotee, but he didn't have association of devotees. He lost his attention. So who are we? We lose our attention if we don't associate with devotees. Okay, that's 6th. Now, you already did. Now forget it. So what's the name of 7th chapter? Knowledge of the Absolute. Now, to be attentive in service of God, you need more knowledge about God, isn't it? To be attentive to do something, you need the knowledge of that subject. The more you know the subject, the more you become focused on that, isn't it? So 7th, Krishna gives his knowledge to further intensify our attention and service attitude. Now we are serving him with knowledge, with attention. Now he wants us to serve him with full attention. So that's why he gives us his knowledge. That is 7th chapter. Receive knowledge of God in association to further intensify the service attitude. And when you do that, next chapter, when you do that, then it's the 8th chapter. When you serve God with full knowledge of God, full attention, with action and knowledge, you earn God's grace and develop a desire to attain him. The name of the chapter, 8th chapter, is Attaining the Supreme. You develop a desire to attain him by his grace. When you fix your mind on him, when you start serving him. And that is the ultimate perfection of life. You have a desire to attain him, isn't it? Now, if you search your soul, you don't have 100% desire to attain God. Maybe 50% also not. We want something else. Externally we might want God, but to the core of the soul, we have to see what exactly we want. If you want God, God will come now. That's all. If you want him, he is ready to come now. But he's not coming because he can see through and through our soul. And he can see, actually, externally we want, but internally we want something else. We are hearing lecture, And if lecture is there for 2 hours, then we start wanting food. Isn't it? Suddenly, I'm feeling hungry. You're hearing about God, but if it keeps on going, then suddenly you start feeling hungry and thirsty. You want something else. But Parikshit was not like that. Parikshit Maharaj, he was hearing about God from Sukdev. He kept on hearing for 7 days, day and night, and he didn't want food. He didn't want anything because he wanted God. But that doesn't happen with all of us. When we chant Hare Krishna, suddenly so many thoughts come, isn't it? You chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, suddenly your thought will come, I want water. What's that to do with God? You're drinking of water, what's that going to do with God? Nothing. But you want it. So you see the point, we want something else from inside. And so that's the meaning of attentiveness. Krishna says in 6th chapter, being attentive means introspect yourself. You have to see what's happening inside. And 8th chapter he says, if you are attentive to me, my service, if I'll, by my mercy, I will give you a desire. Krishna will give mercy. And he will give you this gift of desire to attain him. And then when you chant, there will be no thoughts. When you hear about Krishna, you will not feel hungry, you will not feel thirsty. When you chant, you will not feel hungry, you will not feel thirsty. You will overcome all these necessities of body. That's the focus you will get. That's the desire to attain you will get. That is 8th chapter. And that comes by God's grace, if you are sincere. If you follow first 6 chapters nicely, then one day Krishna will give you His grace. And once you get the desire to attain Krishna, your job is done. Finish. Krishna is waiting for that. Krishna wants you, but we don't want him. That's the problem there. He's just waiting for the day when you want him, truly. When you want him, he'll just take you back. Finish. It's done. Attaining the Supreme. So, yeah, but and when you desire to attain him, and when the desire to attain him becomes very strong, that is called as love. That's called as love. This is the most confidential knowledge. The 9th chapter name is most confidential knowledge. Knowledge about soul is confidential. Knowledge about God is more confidential. Knowledge about love is the most confidential knowledge. To understand what is love of God, that's difficult. And that is when you have desire to attain him, Krishna will give you the next gift, love for him. And to intensify that love, Krishna, next, Narayan. In the 10th chapter and 11th chapter, Krishna reveals his secrets to his loving devotees. When you love Krishna, Krishna will start revealing himself to you. And in 10th chapter, so what's the name of 10th chapter? Opulence of the Absolute. In the 10th chapter, 11th chapter, he reveals his power. How powerful he is. That is this chapter. He is all powerful. That yellow thing behind that. He reveals his power to you. How he is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. He is everywhere. He knows everything. He is probably like a super computer, maybe more than that. He knows everything. So that is God, all powerful, almighty. Let us say like that. So he reveals himself to his devotee. And then 12th chapter, he reveals. So what's the name of 12th chapter? Can you tell me? Yeah. Devotional service. In 12th chapter, he reveals something. And what is that? In 10th chapter, he reveals his power. In 12th chapter, he reveals 12th. 10th and 11th is done. In 12th chapter, he reveals his sweetness. He says, I am not just powerful, I am also sweet. Because 12th chapter begins with a question. Arjuna asks Krishna, whether your impersonal worship is superior or your worship of form is superior. Krishna says, the worship of my form is superior. And form is related to sweetness. You can't think of a form without sweetness, isn't it? Krishna's form, that's sweet. So Krishna says, I am not just powerful, I am very sweet. Krishna says, there's no need to just fear me. There is God and you have to fear Him. No, you can make friends with me. You can have a relationship with me. That's what is devotional service all about. 12th chapter. Devotional service all about relationships. Relationships is all about sweetness. Krishna says you can have a relationship. And that's what 12th chapter is offering you about. Relationship with God. The sweet relationships with God. That is 12th chapter. So, Gita is finished, isn't it? Now you're related to Krishna. You have love. And you understand sweetness. And over, finished. But Gita is not finished. Because there are 6 chapters more. So what's that all about? So 13th chapter. So what is the name of 13th chapter? Nature, enjoyer and consciousness. And 14th chapter, 3 modes of material nature. Now Krishna says, when you are walking on this path, in one day you will not attain love. When you are walking on this path, there will be obstacles in devotion. Obstacles in serving Krishna. That is 13th and 14th chapter. Some obstacles are from inside. Some obstacles are from outside. It will not be that easy that you do and one day you can attain love. It's not that. There are problems. Some obstacles from inside. 13th chapter is talking about enjoying propensity. Nature, enjoyer and consciousness. From inside, your soul will say, I want to enjoy. Without God. Prabhupada says, we are not stopping you to enjoy, but you enjoy with God. Why do you want to enjoy separately from Krishna? But a soul will say, no, mind will say, no, I want to enjoy without God. And that's an obstacle, your mind will disturb you. And 14th chapter, Krishna says, there will be obstacles from outside also. Diseases in body. Many people will start telling you what you are doing, this is not correct, this and that. Confusions, circumstances. All these 3 modes will stop you. These are obstacles. And 15th chapter, the name of 15th chapter is Yoga of Supreme. 15th chapter is offering you the solution to get rid of obstacles. Our mind is disturbed. People are disturbed all around us. What to do now? How to get over this thing so that we can serve Krishna nicely. 15th chapter is Yoga of Supreme. Krishna says, accept the guidance of devotees to relieve this obstacle. Asanga shastrena dridena chitva, Krishna says, by the weapon of knowledge and detachment, cut the root of these obstacles. And this knowledge you get by association of devotees. That's all. So he says, okay, associate with my devotees, get knowledge. So it's done. There is just one more question left. It's not Gita, it's not done. We also have to know whether we are advancing or not. We know other obstacles, that's okay. But are we really advancing on path of devotion or not? What's the thermometer? How do we know that I am advancing in devotion? How do we know I am going close to God? I am following a process, but then you have to know. So, 16th and 17th chapter are offering the parameters of advancement. Oh, okay, fine. This is a quiz for you. Advancement of service depends upon 2 things. 16th and 17th chapter. So what is the name of 16th chapter? Divine and demoniac. So the first symptom of advancement is 16th chapter. You will start developing good qualities. Divine qualities if you connect with God. Demoniac qualities will go down. If that is happening, that means you are walking on path of spirituality. You are going close to God. If you are not developing good habits, if your bad habits are not going, nothing is happening. You are simply imagining you are spiritual. You are feeling nice. You know, it's like that, no? Like people do meditation and say, I am feeling so nice. But that's not a parameter to understand whether you are advancing or not. You will feel nice, okay, that's okay. But that's not you will feel also nice when you go to a party. It's all the same. Or you sleep. It's all the same. So feeling nice is not everything. That's not a good concept to judge whether you're advancing or not. That's nice, you're feeling nice, but you can't judge by that whether you're going near God or you're going away from God. The first symptom, if you're going near God, or if Krishna is coming towards you, let us say like that, and he started liking you, the first symptom is you'll develop good qualities. This means because as you come near the source of goodness, you will get goodness, isn't it? If you go near the source of water, you will become wet. If you go to source of heat, you will get heat. Similarly, if you go to a source of all goodness, which is God, you will start getting good qualities automatically. Your bad qualities will go. Like lust, anger, greed, envy, they'll just wipe off. Good qualities like simplicity, ahimsa, sattva samshuddhim, simplicity, humbleness, tolerance, wisdom, they will start appearing in you. Compassion, everything will start appearing in you slowly. And 17th chapter is the next symptom of advancement. Two symptoms. First is good qualities. Second symptom is, if you are going near God, you will start developing faith. Divisions of faith. A faith which cannot be confused by any power in this material world. That kind of faith. Now faith without knowledge is a sentiment, isn't it? Faith which is based on knowledge, that is real faith. So Krishna says that when you're coming near me, when you're advancing in devotion, you will start developing wisdom, not just knowledge. And knowledge you will start realizing knowledge in your soul. You will start seeing this word with the eyes of wisdom. And that's what is 17th chapter. And that is faith. You will not become confused by anything what you see around, because you have knowledge in you, a mature knowledge. So these are two symptoms of advancement: mature knowledge and good qualities of faith, strong faith. And so what's the 18th chapter? What's the name of the 18th chapter? No. Perfection of renunciation. So, okay, go behind. So what do you fill in those blanks? 16th chapter, 17th chapter, what's there? Advancement in service depends on manifestation of good qualities and strong faith. Or strong faith you can translate as realized wisdom. That's a good way to say. Okay, and 18th chapter is perfection of renunciation. Krishna finished everything. Krishna has told how to connect yourself with Him by service. You have to serve with action and knowledge, combine those. When you do that, then you get desire to attain Him. When you get a desire to attain Him, you get His grace. And by His grace, you get love. To intensify love, Krishna gives His knowledge of power and sweetness. And He says, on this path there will be obstacles. He gives a solution for our obstacles, association of devotees. He says, what is a sign of advancement when you are advancing? And now He concludes His topic discussion by perfection of renunciation. That means Krishna is saying, if you do like this, what I have said, your life becomes perfect. How it will become perfect? Renunciation. Perfection of life means you renounce your own ideas. That was a problem with Arjuna. Once you start loving Krishna, you start loving His ideas, isn't it? If I love you, I love your ideas also, isn't it? If I love you, I'm going to follow you. Once you start loving God, you start loving His ideas, His plans, His knowledge, His desire. And you leave your own ideas, limited ideas, and you start accepting what Krishna says. And that is perfection of renunciation. You renounce your false ego, you renounce your ideas, you renounce yourself. You are no longer interested in yourself now. Now you are interested only in Krishna and His desires. That is perfection of life. That is called love. That is a message of Bhagavad-Gita. And Krishna summarizes here. And Krishna says, meaning of human life is to understand and serve Krishna, and to get answers to question who are you and who is God by changing our perception. That is what we began Gita all about, no? We now perceiving this word by our own eyes, but after serving Him and after getting love and knowledge, we will start perceiving this word with the eyes of God. As He sees this word. We're supposed to see this word as He sees, not as what we see. And then we will get happiness and satisfaction, because His ideas are perfect. He knows future. We don't know. So we'll be happy, be peaceful, satisfied, and we can achieve the goal of life, that is God. And after death, we go back to Him. This is all Gita about. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Any questions? That is Gita. Now you read Gita and then... No. Just why you are closing? Why do you close that? Just last slide here. Go. Okay, yeah. No, open the last slide, what I showed you. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Yeah, you...
I have two things. Also, Srimad Bhagavatam, we can read that for every work that we can do, we need two things like knowledge, strength, and activity itself. And sometimes this strength we get with the body, with the modes of nature. So sometimes it's maybe we have this strong will, but because the lack of strength, we cannot do maybe sometimes.
So, what's the point?
This also, if you go outside and if you see commercials and everything, for someone it's maybe much more easier, but for someone who has not that strength, that comes.
Strength of what? Body?
Strength, yeah. I mean, it's all kind of strengths, like discipline, intellectual strength, emotional strength, kind of strength.
Yeah, Bhagavatam says you should be at least healthy to pursue spiritual life. If your health is spoiled, then you can't do anything. But nevertheless, Bhagavatam says that, yesterday the same question they were asking, and the same point came. Bhagavatam says you should care enough about body just for health. Don't waste more time than that. Keep yourself healthy, finish, that's all. Don't make your body beautiful or something like this. We are not interested in that. You can't become beautiful if you're not beautiful. Let's be frank, It can't happen like that. It's all imagination. So, that's all. Everybody is beautiful in soul. Body, who cares for that? You know what? Real beauty is not by body, but by character, isn't it? And this happens in this material world. If you have a friend who is very smart and very beautiful, but he is completely nonsense, will you be his friend? He speaks lies and he is angry fellow and all bad qualities, but he is very smart bodily. Will you be his friend? No. The relationship breaks. So beauty is by wisdom and character, not by body. So I think if that's your question, that's
I just want to say that.
okay, fine.
And one more thing is, sometimes we have this discussion between endeavor and destiny.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah. It's
in the lives of the devotees, and also maybe not. Because in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says that no matter how hard they're going to fight, they're all going to die.
Yeah, actually you're right. This is a big question, at least in modern age, of efforts and destiny. Now the common propaganda in the society is there's no destiny. Efforts, you can achieve anything, isn't it? That's what is common propaganda. And all these management gurus, success gurus, they come and say, to hell with destiny, If there is destiny, we'll change it. We believe in efforts. But that is a wrong proposal. Now why? I'll explain you why. And this explanation is given in Pancharatra texts. Now how they explain is, you see the point, if suppose in your destiny, it's written that you will earn maybe $100,000 in whole life. That's written. But now you decide, I will earn $3 million by my efforts. Now you decide that. But your destiny says $100,000. You go to astrologer, he says, well, it's written $100,000. You say, I will change it. And I'll show you. And then you come and write $3 million on your wall, on your fan. That's what they say, write it and keep on, the secret, keep on thinking and you will attract Okay, if you do that, and if you put extraordinary efforts, you will earn $3 million. No problem. That will come. Because you are putting efforts, you are always thinking of that. You are always thinking of a goal. So it might come, it might not, but if you have opportunities, you will not miss it. Because you're planning, and you put efforts and intelligence, and you somehow get it. Maybe, somehow get it, $3 million. So you have changed your destiny? No. Because your destiny said your destiny didn't say you will get $100,000. Your destiny said you will get the happiness which is brought by $100,000. So still you have not defeated destiny, because you will only be able to enjoy $100,000. Rest of the money, either your wife will spend in shopping, or your child will take, or you'll become sick, and doctors will take. That's what Prabhupada says. You will not be able to enjoy that money. So the money which you can't enjoy is as good as not having it, isn't it? So still you don't have that money. So in the end, destiny wins. But the point is, you put efforts and you wasted your time. That's all. And in the process, what happens is, in the process you have to struggle a lot, and the happiness which you're experiencing now because of past lives, past karmas, that also you spoil. So you're not able to get happiness now because you're frustrated, and later also you don't get happiness because then you're frustrated, and then spoil everything. So that is called destiny. So that's why you're right, I mean to say, all this propaganda is wrong. People think we have changed destiny by earning more, but actually they're fools. They didn't change destiny. They can't get more happiness. What is this time? They can get more money, but not more happiness. What is this time to them? Destiny fixes your happiness and sorrows, and not exactly the means, not the money, not your efforts. No, you can do your techniques, whatever you want. But happiness is limited. If you have to be happy on that day, you will be happy. And if your destiny says you will not be happy, even if you are a prince, you will get loose motions. You can't eat. You'll have to suffer. It's like that. It goes like that. That's an example given by the story for that. So yeah, be satisfied. That's what Krishna says. That's the greatest wealth of a devotee. Okay, anything else, or we'll just stop here. Okay, so thank you very much for hearing Bhagavad Gita. Now if you now go and read Bhagavad Gita, now you'll understand. I've given you a framework to work on it. Now you know the holistic view. Now you can add details in that, and you will start understanding. Because I saw many devotees have problem of understanding Gita. They can't understand, what's happening in 13th chapter, 14th chapter, and mostly devotees skip 13, 14. It's like, what's happening there, But now you know the flow, and now you fill details, you'll be able to understand. So, and also before I finish something, I have these pen drives. I have these pen drives, and these are my lectures there. I have so many seminars like this in these pen drives. This is like 200 hours of lectures and 12 hours of video, because I'm a scientist also. I'm a genetic researcher and doctor, so I generally preach to scientists. So in America I go to universities in MIT, Harvard, Stanford and all these. So all these seminars which I have presented, not just devotional but spirituality and science, about consciousness, about artificial intelligence and machines and evolution, but from a Vedic perspective, not their perspective. So all those seminars are also there in this. There are videos for that. And then many audios, full Bhagavad Gita is explained. I try to explain it logically, rationally, Bhagavatam and other things. So if you want to have this, you can have this. And thank you very much for coming here. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay. So we will. What to do now? What to be done?